It is common for many parents who want us to be an engineer or a doctor. But deep down in our hearts, we intend to become something else. I will be honest with you, my dad wanted me to be a software engineer. But I always wanted to become a pilot in my heart. Therefore, I did my pilot training and steered further away from becoming an engineer. However, an interesting fact is some pilots are engineers too. Does that mean you can do the same? Can you do pilot training after engineering? Or vice versa? I will discuss it here in this post to remove all your confusion. Should I become a pilot or an engineer? You are the only person who can answer this question correctly. Whether you will become a pilot or an engineer depends on your dreams in life. Do not analyze the money-earning aspects of any of these two professions. If you aim to make a living by flying airplanes, your only option is to become a pilot. But as an engineer, you will not have the luck of flying airplanes. There are various engineering degrees. Which will you choose? No matter what kind of engineer you prefer, you can't fly an airplane. But I believe many of us consider the reward of pilots and engineers. Before determining which career path to select, many of us imagine which profession will be more profitable annually. Whether becoming an engineer can draw me more money than a pilot? Or is it vice versa? Nevertheless, acknowledging the monetary reward is not fitting to choose any career path. Recognize where your interests lie. If you are interested in aircraft and not flying it, you can be an aerospace engineer. An aerospace engineer, too, can work in the airport and around airplanes. And if you have no interest in aviation at all, there are several engineering degrees to choose from according to your enthusiasm. Most engineers make an adequate amount of money. Similarly, pilots make a competent living. Can you be a pilot and an engineer? If you intend to work both as a pilot and as an engineer professionally, I must say you cannot become a pilot and engineer. On the contrary, you can have pilot licenses and engineering degrees but work professionally only in one field at a time. Allow me to explain a bit more. Assuming you have an engineering degree and are willing to change profession. So while you are working as an engineer in the field, you can spare some time weekly to fly the required hours and obtain a pilot license. Once you have a commercial pilot license and are ready to make a career shift, you have to quit being an engineer and start looking for J-pilot. No matter in which industry you work, it is impossible to have two full-time jobs. The same conditions will apply if you want to quit being a pilot and become an engineer in your desired field. You will have to work hard and work your way up to become a professional engineer and forget about working as a commercial pilot. Can I do pilot training after engineering? It is common for many aviation enthusiasts to come into the aviation industry once they complete their graduate degrees. After completing their engineering degrees, I saw numerous airline pilots enrolled in pilot training. Today they are delighted with their pilot job, though they began as engineers. Many pilots hold an engineering degree in the aviation field, and some have a degree in a distinct area. Regardless of which industry you choose for your engineering degree, you can always start your pilot training after graduation. It is never too late to learn to fly an airplane. Yet, you may wonder about the subjects in pilot training. However, understand this. You will learn all the essential items relevant to pilot training during your ground school. Which engineering is best for pilots? An engineer in any field can choose to be a pilot. You will learn all the appropriate expertise required for flight safety in the pilot training ground school. However, if you are an aerospace engineer and start pilot training, you will find the subject in flight training ground school a lot less complicated. A pilot student from a commerce or business background might find the aviation subjects a bit tricky. Thus, if you intend to make a living by flying an airplane someday since you were young, then I suggest picking your graduation degree wisely. The best practice is to have an aeronautical engineering degree alongside your commercial pilot license. That way, your opportunity to get an airline job will be more significant than someone with a degree in an irrelevant field. Can an aeronautical engineer become a pilot? Yes, an aeronautical engineer can become a pilot. The aeronautical engineer only has to fly the minimum hours required to obtain pilot licenses. As I have mentioned in the previous subheading, having an aeronautical engineering degree will benefit someone who intends to work in the airline. Likewise, an aeronautical engineer will find many relevant topics in the pilot training subjects as both professions are in the aviation industry. Thus, after graduating from college as an aeronautical engineer, find out a right and reputed flight school. Next, enroll in the flight school to obtain your desired pilot license. Conclusion. Whether you want to be an engineer to please your parents or not, you can still make a career move from an engineer to a pilot. Because all you have to do is go through the flight training process. Having an engineering degree will not prevent you in any way. In reality, having an engineering degree will benefit you, together with your commercial pilot license. If you have any more questions about pilots and engineers, please feel free to ask in the comments section. I will do my best to answer you accurately.